Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the Bloomberg Surveillance Podcast. I'm Tom Keene, along with Paul Sweeney. Join us each day for insight from the best in economics, finance, investment, and international relations. You can also watch the show live on YouTube. Visit the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube to see the show weekday mornings from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern from our global headquarters in New York City. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen, and always on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Terminal, and the Bloomberg Business app. Victoria Bills charms us now from Chicago. Thrilled she could be with us because she writes these acute strategy notes, which are be in the market and shut up and buy NVIDIA. Victoria, how can you buy NVIDIA after the moonshot?
I mean, it's one of those things where when we're thinking about NVIDIA, and especially, again, the huge spur that we're seeing in the growth with AI, or what some people might even call a bubble, it's honestly, the price from here is honestly has incredible upwards bound to go even beyond the $1,000 mark. And, you know, right now we're looking at overall for NVIDIA, like consensus expectations is around like $5.48 per share. The stock has just done really well. It's very hard for me to argue otherwise. Especially when you're constantly beating earning expectations, like I just don't see the seller story for it. Yeah,
I think it's like through the highs that we saw yesterday as well. Now 1133 is a pre-market. I don't even know what that means. 10 for 1 stock split coming up here.
Oh, that's right.
As well, Victoria, at the bottom of your note on NVIDIA, you go to what's different now, which is it seems to be a new adult tech. From the view of Banrion, is tech really wedded now to dividend growth and share buyback for use of cash?
Absolutely. I mean, when we're thinking, again, like the whole issue in terms of tech and how we're thinking about this is that like profit margins is well above like 75%. And when we think about, for example, how to capitalize or how to get involved in these technology-based stocks, I mean, whether it's smaller companies like Supermicrocomputer, NVIDIA being kind of the top player in terms of what we're looking at with AI, but also cryptocurrency and like GPU, like how all of that is processed. Like, again, like I think that there is a great like buyer story to be had here.
So, Victor, I'm looking through your stock list and a lot of, kind of high valuation technology, biotech, healthcare, but then you also got a Diamondback Energy in there. Talk to us about energy and how you think about that in the context of some of your more higher multiple and higher growth names that you guys like.
Absolutely. So Diamondback, when we think about basically it's independent oil, natural gas company, and a lot of what we're seeing right now in terms of whether that's the Biden administration pulling down on tariffs for when it comes to like EV vehicles, it's almost like a protectionary measure in order to kind of protect certain industries that are here. So basically, it's been trading at like almost 8 times earnings over the past couple of years. They have a very strong like team backing them, and then essentially, again, we have some protective measures that are coming in place where we're trying to be more cordial towards industries that are here within the U.S. So that's where I would see kind of the story for Diamondback. And then also just in terms of like free cash flows as well into the hundreds of millions.
What's the value of cash within your strategy? Is it a bolt-on or is it actually part of a strategy forward?
So cash in terms of how we think about it for our strategy. So we are an alternative investment firm. So a lot of what we are advocating for is alternative-based investing. So looking at things that are providing similar returns to a 60-40 portfolio, but like not necessarily leveraging on that risk. So when we're thinking about cash, it's great to have in kind of the short term, but investing in more newer alternative forms of technology and industry, because that is the future and that's the wave that we'll be seeing that's coming down a year, 2 years down the road. But having cash in the moment, especially if you're someone who needs that for retirement or to buy White Sox tickets, absolutely a necessity.
So, Victoria, how do you guys at Banrion think about just valuation in the markets today? We've had a big move in the equity markets off of these October levels, and we've had some good earnings. Let's be clear, we did have some good earnings growth. Is that earnings growth enough to support this market from your perspective?
I think there's definitely a possibility for that. Right now, what we're seeing in terms of small cap stocks, small caps are kind of making a comeback, but they're still not as frothy or they're a bit frothier than what we would want in the industry right now. Especially what we're seeing right now is when we were trying to beat out the S&P 500, it's the actively managed portfolios that tend to do much better than those more smaller ETFs. So if you're, for example, looking for an alternative that would provide very similar return profile to like a 60-40 combination of equities and bonds, then a lot of what we're looking at, for example, would be CTA, IS, BTOL, MRSK, again, provide basically attractive, diversified ETFs that will allow you to gain that same sort of alpha that you would get from a small cap stock, but diversifying that risk.
Into June 30, Victoria, what are you seeing clients actually doing? What is the mood out there after, I think, the shock of sell in May and go away not working out? What's the mood right now?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I think what you're asking is like, where are people kind of feeling, where are people going in terms of where the equity markets are?
Yes, so that's good enough.
Yeah, so good question. I think that a lot of people are trying to find that alpha out there in the market. We're seeing continuously high valuations. And so that's where I'm saying alternative investment strategies that will provide you a similar return profile, but again, like reducing that beta or even providing a similar return profile but diversifying across a very highly concentrated managed portfolio. That's where I think a lot of people are starting to head towards right now. But I think the appetite for that market, again, it requires a high educational barrier when we're talking about alternatives. But that's where I think a lot of people, if you're being smart about the market and looking again for ways to get involved, especially in industries that are related to like EVs, semiconductors, that's where I think alternative investment strategies are coming in. So managed ETFs are doing much better in that regard.
We got to be quick here, Victoria, but you mentioned it. I mean, the Chicago White Sox, back 55 years when I saw Nellie Fox hit a home run at Comiskey Park, it's like the worst team ever. What does Victoria Bills do to turn the Chicago White Sox around?
Hopes and prayers, thoughts and prayers. But I think that my understanding right now is that they're looking to move the White Sox stadium. And I would hope also to potentially look at new management. Look, I am not a sports girly by any stretch of the imagination, but I am like how there are Cubs fans that always have supported the Cubs. I will always support the White Sox.
There we go.
Even if it's my better interests.
Very good. My deepest sympathies, Victoria Bills. Thank you so much. I called up the team putting the show together Saturday and Sunday, and they said, we got to get Derek Wallbank on. He's in Delhi. And we want to talk to him about the crushing climate that he, with his leadership out of Singapore, is spearheading for Bloomberg News, the temperatures from India on over across Southeast Asia, something in the heart and soul of Mr. Wallbank. He joins us this morning off a small matter of an election in India. Derek Wallbank joins from Delhi, where he provides leadership out of Singapore. Derek, Modi has won, and he is dominant, and it is the tension of a cosmopolitan southern India, think Satya Nadella playing cricket as a child, versus the emotion of Hinduism of northern India. Can Modi bring these two regions, these two disparate Indias, together?
Well, Tom, it's good to talk to you, my friend. It's, look, we don't do anything halfway here. It's about 111 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And the world's largest democracy, the election results are coming out tomorrow. We got the exit polls just over the weekend. They show that the exit polls, and I mean polls plural, there are a lot of them. they all are kind of herding around this idea of a Modi landslide victory. They're sort of, it depends in a range from a lot to really a lot. What they're showing, if you sort of walk into the regional breakdowns, is you are seeing the BJP that Modi leads and his allies doing really, really well in their traditional sort of heartlands, but you're also sort of seeing a little bit of a pull into some of those areas where they've had some difficulties in prior elections.
Yeah.
You are seeing a little bit more of a national move. I mean, we'll have to see if the actual results sort of track that.
Yeah,
but you are seeing a little bit more of a regional spread, yeah.
And Paul, we got to color this. This is important. In America, we're hysterical about having 3 or 4, maybe 5 languages. There are 23 official languages in India.
And then all the dialects on top of that, just an extraordinary place in the world. Derek, what does this mean for the politics of India going forward? Mr. Modi, what will he do coming out of this election and on the world stage, do you believe?
Well, so let me put this into sort of 2 camps. Let me say in the India locally camp, let's say that the results track the exits. You're looking at a landslide victory in that scenario, but not a can do whatever the heck he wants in terms of changing the Constitution, all of that sort of stuff. So there are some guardrails, I guess I would say, but it would be a very large mandate where he would be able to operationally sort of go the same way. Your investment sort of tracks there. I think on a global scale, it's no secret that the United States and the U.S. allies really like the idea of an ascendant India. Last year with the G20 was a really big sort of coming out party for Modi himself, and so India really wants to take a place on the world stage that is larger than it has held before, and it's going to be welcomed in getting there. And I think particularly what you should look for is what happens when things go a little bit sideways, right? They had the issue with Canada in recent years where there was some real friction there over potential extrajudicial killing, and Canada really wanted a little bit more backup on the world stage. When they were looking around, a lot of their friends weren't there as strongly as they thought they would, because I'm just not sure that a lot of people are going to be racing to go confront Modi. They want him there.
Derek, just because of time, I got a segue here to what you and the team are covering out of Singapore, which is, to be polite, excessive heat. And the way you look at this, a physician once told me it's 111 in Delhi. It's, if they're lucky, the low tonight will be 89 degrees. Derek, what is Bloomberg News reporting from, I'm going to say in a broad sense, from Manila to Dubai on this excessive heat? It's like part of it. But they also own the hotel.
Yeah, it's absolutely stifling, Tom. And I think one of the things that we're showing is a lack of infrastructure to be able to deal with it. Right? There's not, you're seeing in some places power outages combined with this, so there really isn't that sort of respite. I think broadly speaking, you're talking about places that are trying to figure out how they're going to live with this, and it's going to be one of the big challenges that Modi's going to be looking at is building up that infrastructure to be able to handle
I think we tap
the level of the world that's going
but
to
an unfair question, Derek.
And if anything,
if New Delhi runs out of water,
traveling public
who comes to the rescue?
Maybe I didn't miss buying a handbag or a watch or another pair of shoes, but I sure
don't
missed
know.
Exploring.
I mean, and that's one of the things, and you're seeing this in Singapore too, right? Where you're saying,
to run around the
what
world
are we going to be able to do in this environment? In Singapore, they're looking at building a massive new land reclamation project that would function as a reservoir to be able to allow Singapore to have a freshwater
into Europe broadly,
supply that it doesn't have to rely on its neighbors for. So this sort of thing is front of mind for a lot of
today are up about 7%.
How do you do this? Because there really is a
and that's going not only into France
don't go right,
with the
maybe
Olympic
there
benefit,
isn't someone around
but Italy,
to help
Spain,
Derek,
Greece,
thank
all
you so
those
much.
markets are way up
Derek
here.
Wallbank joins us now, running all of our
they got free
Bloomberg
cash flow
coverage
$2.5
out of Singapore.
billion a year,
in,
and it's not like they're not
Delhi
spending money.
with a temperature
$500, $600, $700 million in capex. Where are you guys allocating your capital
City.
play. Where do you
Not
see the
happening
opportunities
right now, I should say,
in your
Mexico
business?
City.
So a few places. Right now, we're
What's the
going
low
through a
temperature
massive
at night?
replatforming
No, we
of our
say
most
'cause we're a
important
nation of
technology
haves in
systems,
Phoenix,
our reservation
Tucson,
system, our
or
property
Tucson
management
County.
system,
Good morning,
and our
Lowell.
loyalty platform.
The
And so
answer
we've
is
mentioned on the
we
earnings
have
calls
Right.
for the next couple quarters will be elevated.
How do you get people to call Marriott Direct, call a hotel direct instead of some impersonal thing like I'm going to pick on Booking.com? I go to hotels where I can book the hotel direct, sit at the desk, be sure they can take Mrs. King's 7 Louis Vuitton luggages in properly. How do you get back to that personal service?
It's really through the Bonvoy platform. It's creating a suite of benefits and making sure through the Bonvoy platform we educate the consumer
Right.
of the benefits of booking
Okay.
direct.
Okay. I'm just going to, this is what Lisa wants to talk about, so we're going there, Tony Capuano. How the St. Regis Maldives Vomuli Resort.
Boom.
It's the best, points guy, Brian says it's the best, best St. Regis in the world. Do you link with airplanes so Lisa Mateo can get there for the 1 week in September?
It's easy to get there.
Really?
How does
the
Lisa
Maldives?
Mateo pack the bag, the little, she'll have the knapsack thing, and get to the Maldives? How do you do that?
She jumps on Emirates, flies straight to Mali, and then there'll be a beautiful St. Regis boat waiting for you to take you right to the dock.
That's how you do it.
Or if you really want a beautiful view of that destination, you get on a seaplane, which flies at about 2,000 feet, and you get to view all those beautiful islands.
I've never seen her.
I know.
George Clooney could walk in right now.
her husband's-
Tony Capuano.
Her husband's rolling his
Paul,
eyes right
save
now.
the interview.
So, Tony, I see a lot of demand. The Maldives, great. That's for Lisa Mateo. But I see demand for the kind of the mid-range. People want to take those longer-term stays. I didn't know that was a business until recently, but that really is a business where people want to take long-term stays. Maybe they're contract workers or something like that. Talk to us about that business.
Again, another interesting byproduct coming out of the pandemic. Yep. This notion that folks, even if they're a little sub-optimized, they can work from anywhere. There is a younger generation of nomads that wants to work from anywhere. And so the ability, whether it's a traditional extended stay hotel like Residence Inn, whether it's a more value-focused extended stay product like Studio Res, our new mid-scale extended stay platform, or whether it's a bit longer term stay in an Apartments by Marriott Bonvoy, there is a consumer that for their travel needs is much better served with something focused on not a 1 or 2 night transient stay, but really purpose built to accommodate that longer stay.
What are you doing with New York City?
Yep.
The cheapest hotel in Manhattan, I think, is $800 a night. I'm kidding, but what's your plan for New York City?
Well, we'll continue to grow. This city is remarkable, and the pace at which it's recovered from a travel perspective is a terrific story. One of the great benefits of having such a broad brand portfolio across multiple quality tiers, we'll continue to grow at the luxury end. We just announced, but at the same time, we'll continue to grow with our new mid-scale platforms.
Our good friend David Gura loves to have a Gibson at the Old King Cole. Tell me you're not ruining the St. Regis
Absolutely
Hotel
not.
first floor. What are you doing right now at the St. Regis Hotel? You're blowing up the first floor of an icon. What are you going to do with it?
We're just updating it. We're making it more convenient for our guests. We're improving some of the traffic flow, but we are absolutely not touching that iconic King Cole bar.
I mean, this is great. And what's so great about this, the restoration of the painting at the Old King Cole was like something out of the Louvre.
Yeah,
Did you get the invoice on that?
Somebody
Was that before
did.
your
Didn't
time?
come to me.
Didn't come to you.
But St. Regis is another brand that we just announced today. The iconic Pelican Hill Resort on Newport Coast in Southern California is going to be reflagged as a St. Regis as well. So it's a brand that is really
This is
growing.
in Newport?
Yeah, it's Don Bren and the Irvine Company.
Are you calling this Hotel Hilarion? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, is this like a PIMCO outpost? Is that what this is
Well, I
gonna
think
be?
they'll continue to be a valued client.
They'll be good. Tony, thank you so much. Congratulations on 14% per year total return, that off of Marriott stock. And thank you for the 90-day visit
My pleasure.
as well. Mateo, Mateo to the Maldives. That's what I see.
I'll
Tony,
tell them to
thank
get
you.
your slippers ready.
Thank you so much, Tony. Your daily look at the front pages. Lisa, Mateo, where to begin?
All right, we're starting with something happening today in New York. This is really a lifeline for New York City families who are struggling to pay rent. The New York City Housing Authority, they're reopening that waiting list for federal housing vouchers, which you know is Section 8. It closed back in December because it grew way too big. It grew to 128,000 families. Now the waiting list has dropped down to about 3,700, so they're opening it up again. But here's the problem, and the New York Times really gets into this fantastically, is that the city doesn't have enough apartments where the city vouchers can be used. So yes, they're opening this wait list, but
it's a mess.
Yeah,
it's changed. I see it from a rarefied atmosphere. We're at a life-changing moment. What do you tell your kids?
Right.
I'm like, go, leave, but then what do you do?
Yeah,
live with 8 people in Queens. I mean, that's really what we've come up to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Manhattan. I know it's always been a challenge in the city, but it just feels like, where are the new units being created in the city?
It's rent has to be at most around $3,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment for a family of 4.
Yeah, where
do you find that?
Where's
Yes,
that?
That's
exactly.
the problem.
What's that? Like past the Pine Barrens in New Jersey?
Exactly.
I over the weekend there was a transaction in Washington where they're going to take an office building on K Street, and I guess they're going to make it residential. What do you think the cheapest place in it is going to be? $1.5 million.
Probably.
I mean, I just don't.
No.
This is an urgent issue to all of you across the nation. Next.
Yes. Okay. So we were talking last week when we ended off Friday about the $1.50 hot dog combo at Costco. So
You never let up.
Another big draw is also the rotisserie chicken. It's only $5, but also we talked about the gold bars and the
I don't
coins.
get that. You could actually buy that at
Yes,
Costco?
you can buy it at
All right, I'm going this
Costco.
weekend.
Sometimes they're usually sold out. You have to go online sometimes, and you have to try and get in before every other people do. But the Wall Street Journal is saying that the problem is that a lot of people aren't thinking about the taxes on gold when you sell it. So a lot of people are getting into the whole buying gold thing.
I know, Lisa, you can muscle a bar of gold out the door at Costco. I can't. But with those biceps, you can. Okay, but triceps, I should say. But Lisa, what is the gold bar? Is it like something you wear in a bracelet? Like, you got your kids and your dogs on the bracelet?
The bars, the actual
They're
gold
little mini bars.
Yes.
They look like a Kit Kat bar.
Yes.
How much is each bar?
I think they were around $1,000 or so. I remember doing a story not too long ago.
After that, you go the hot dog.
And
Right, then you go get your hot
the
dog.
bargain hot dog. But people are buying it up, but they're saying that people aren't thinking about when you sell it.
Have you seen a line at Costco to buy gold bars?
I personally haven't seen them. That's why I'm having a problem with the story.
All right, that's
I
what
don't
we're doing
see
that
them
this
at
weekend. We're
Costco.
going to the Costco.
Road trip.
Yep.
We have
Next.
to search for them, but I can't find them. Okay, so we've been talking about Netflix, right? Biggest competition, streaming services, but actually Spotify has the most loyal fans. So you're comparing, music streaming with video streaming. But this was an interesting take from Lucas Shaw. He said there are 2 reasons for it. He had a good newsletter on this.
Yep.
He said because audio streaming services have this upper hand because Spotify takes care of the subscribers the way Netflix can't, because Spotify has unlimited, they will have every song that you want.
Yep.
Whereas Netflix has, a show that you want and then you cancel it.
So here's Lucas Shaw's note here from just a couple days ago. Good afternoon from Chicago, where I am at a bachelor party for an old friend. I will be back in New York the week of June 10th for a couple of events around the Tribeca Film Festival. That's how he goes,
Not
Tom.
bad.
He's
Not
just,
bad
He's
life.
a stud.
He's a
he has to
people
tell
are
us where
talking
he
to
is.
his people, but we hope to get Lucas in live in the studio.
I'm not sure we're
next
going to
week.
make that call.
My basic take on this is Tidal and Qobuz out of Paris are much better sounding, like shockingly better sounding. My kids won't leave Spotify.
No.
I'm paying like 6 Spotify subscriptions.
Yeah.
Vet Bill has one.
Yep.
It's a big draw.
loves
I
101
go with the old
Dalmatians.
school Pandora and I get called
Yeah.
and out of date.
So is there anybody here in the studio that has a Spotify account?
No, I
I
hate it with a
don't.
passion.
Nope.
Hate it.
No.
They don't pay artists. Where do you want to begin?
Right. All right.
I roll Tidal, and I just wish Apple would buy Tidal and make it big.
Okay.
Tidal is great. I'm editorializing.
There you go.
excuse me.
Gotta check
There you go.
It's
All
my
right.
folks' pot for the morning. Next.
And this is the last one, the great debate on phone etiquette, okay? It's becoming
Great
a
question.
fight with family members, coworkers, spouses, friends. Is it okay to call someone first without texting them first to let them know that you're going to call them?
Right.
Giving
See,
them
this
that
is with my
warning.
kids, and I don't take
Yes.
any smack from these
Me
numbnuts.
neither.
When I call you, you pick up the phone.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have to prearrange, a call. If I'm
Do your
calling
kids have the little pink princess phone? Only the rich kids had that in the bedroom.
I don't know, man. But I mean, they don't pick up when I call you. You owe everything to me.
What I
pick
do,
up the phone.
And some people think it's rude, but it works. I text them my phone number, and some people I say as you can, and others I just text it because they know I don't want to be rude and bother them. Call me when you can.
See, you're
Really?
Yeah.
You're good. I like FaceTime my kid.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, whoa, what are you FaceTiming me without telling me first?
That's a
The
great
FaceTime
question.
thing is dead on arrival.
Is it okay to call someone first without giving them
Yes,
a
yes.
text warning? I didn't even know that was a thing, but now you're right.
So it is, but it's becoming a workplace thing too, because sometimes people let me just call the boss and tell him this. No, some people are saying you should text him first to see if it's okay to call now. And they're saying it's wasting time back and forth. I can't talk to you right now, so just text me. It's
Have you
faster
ever? When was the last time you
respond.
picked up a phone call that you didn't know who the caller was?
Oh, I don't.
No, I
Never.
don't. I
Because
don't.
it's it's
And I see
always
people
spam.
do that, and they're like, "Hello, hello," and they're shocked to find out it's like a spam, robocall or somebody trying to sell them something.
But it's a generational thing, because the Wall Street Journal is saying that the people who grew up with landlines, those are the ones who say it's okay, and the people who have been texting since high school you
I
need
can
to
see
text
that.
me
I can
first
see
and
that.
let me know that you're calling. So that's the divide.
Yeah,
Across
Is this
generations.
etiquette with Lisa?
yes, it is.
I thought we were doing equities, bonds, currencies,
No,
commodities.
we're going.
Now we're doing.
Phone etiquette and hot dog fare.
That is Lisa Mateo with the newspapers. This is the Bloomberg Surveillance Podcast, bringing you the best in economics, finance, investment, and international relations. You can also watch the show live on YouTube. Visit the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube to see the show weekday mornings from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern from our global headquarters in New York City. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you listen, and always on Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Terminal, and the Bloomberg Business app.